Welcome, everybody, to the Beat LA podcast. My name is Paul Rule. I am a writer, TV, screenwriter type person in Los Angeles via San Francisco. Matt Ferrucci is here, as always, across the desk from me. Matt, we tried to mix it up this week. We changed positions, as they say. I'm on top for a change. And hey, Matt, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Got a haircut.
Thanks, Paul. Yes, Paul, for one time, is on top.
Matt always introduced me, just so you guys know.
No.
Matt Ferrucci impersonation.
I love it. I'm doing well, Paul. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I feel good. I just got back from Paris, France, where I did win a gold medal in, I don't even know. I should have been in the breakdancing competition because I can tell you this much. I would have been better than Ray Gunn from Australia. And I know a lot of our listeners out there would have been better than her as well and could have represented Australia in the breakdancing, Paul.
I don't know what you're talking about. I know they did the breakdancing. I didn't watch any of it.
There's a big controversy, Paul. It's called current events.
I know it happened. I just didn't watch any of it, man.
Yeah,
I got two breaking movies I can watch whenever I want. I don't have to watch it live.
That's right. Nick, cut to that scene from Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I'm so excited. Thought I'd never fall in love with you.
Paul, I do want to ask you a couple of things. While we were away, folks, from the Beat LA podcast the last couple of weeks, it's just got to be mentioned because we're a Bay Area, we love the Bay Area. Curry Fleury, baby. Curry Fleury in Paris. Those last two games, I mean, his legacy was already cemented, but it was so much fun for me to see on social media all of these non-Warrior fans posting clips of themselves going, oh, I understand what it's like to be a Warriors fan now. Wow. What a show he put on there.
Yeah, look, I was rooting for Serbia, as you know, because I hate LeBron so much, but it even turned me. I actually do think it cemented his legacy a little bit because, Iguodala won an MVP. There were other things that happened along the way. I don't think anybody, Durant was there for three of the four. I think Curry think it does cement his legacy. And yes, I think it was fun for the world to see just how much fun it's been to be a Warrior fan for the last decade plus. So
there it is, folks. Before we get into any more, you can listen to the Beat LA podcast on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Listen, subscribe, leave a review, 5-star review. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. That keeps the lights on. You can see what Paul's wearing. We have a great show for you today, guys. We're going to talk a little bit of Giants, a little bit of 49ers, a little NFL preview with our guest this week, Mr. Ray Stoney, from your favorite commercials, favorite television shows. If you know, you know. He's been in movies like The Longest Yard. He's been in Remember the Titans. Great guest. He's a big fantasy head. He's a big NFL football fan, and we're going to get into it with Ray Stoney, so you're not going to want to miss that podcast. Paul, do you want to start with, and Nick, cut to the clip of Titanic where Kate Winslet is on the door and Leonardo DiCaprio is sinking into the water.
I'll never let go. I promise.
That is the San Francisco Giants, Paul. Am I wrong?
by the way, I'm just so glad you did all that work, Matt. See, the intro I can do, that's short, but all of that housekeeping, as you call it, or cleaning, whatever. Thank you for that, Matt. I appreciate you. So I got a lot of thoughts on the Giants, as I often do. I feel like we've actually been a little bit baseball light on this podcast over the course of the season. And the reason, and you know, I'm a big baseball guy, that I had two terrible periods in my life. Would both after that happened, I literally stopped my life, went on the road and went to ballparks. I'm writing a book about it. Like, I love my baseball. This team, it would make me not be a baseball fan anymore. That's how bad, that's how frustrating they are. They are a quintessentially mediocre team. I'd rather have them be shitty with young guys playing and see what happens, or good, obviously. I'd like them to score some runs. Since July 24th, runners in scoring position, they're the worst in the league. I think they're hitting like 180. And by the way, weirdly, they've actually are 7 games over during that time, if they had any hitting at all. Anyway, they're so frustrating. I'm so sick of them. I hate the third. I just want my pet peeve for the week, the third wild card. I think it's ruining baseball. The third wild card should not exist. There should be a real trade deadline. By the way, I also missed the second trade deadline there used to be. Remember the waiver wire that went up until August 31st? Anyway, I could talk for hours on this. The Giants are exceptionally frustrating. My other pet peeve is Joey Bart. Joey Bart is now basically playing every day for Pittsburgh. He's their DH catcher. He's hitting cleanup. He's got a 900 OPS, and Farhan decided to go and sign Tom Murphy to take his role as a backup catcher. You can find a backup catcher any day of the week on the scrap heap in Major League Baseball. Why get rid of the number 2 pick in the draft who'd never been given a chance?
You a lot to unpack there, Paul. And I want to just jump in here if I can. You know, the Joey Bart thing, it's hard. And it's in hindsight's 2020. Because when that came up, all of us were saying, ship this bum
Not me.
who should
Not
be.
me.
Who,
Go back,
hey,
go back and listen to all the other podcasts. I was against it from the beginning.
okay, fine. But I'm going to talk about the majority of us were like, this guy just belongs.
Who are wrong.
Who belongs in long drive championships on the Ocho ESPN 8, who should just be hitting softball dingers like the hustler, like Paul Newman.
I'm the best you ever seen, Fats. I'm the best there is. Now, even if you beat me, I'm still the best.
He was dog shit. I think he needed a change of scenery. I think if he stayed with us, he still would have been dog shit. That speaks to sort of the system that the Giants have created. I do like the 6th wild card. In fact, what I love right now are teams that
You
are going to
love
be
parity. You should live in Venezuela.
I will. I mean, that's the plan is to move there, that or Ecuador, any place that doesn't have an extradition treaty. What I'm trying to say is, I love how teams, we both know this, and it's not talked about enough. I was trying to explain this to a friend of mine who was a big Brewers fan, and he so desperately wants the bye. And I was telling him, no, you don't. And I love how these teams that are 1-2 right now in both divisions, in both leagues, you want to lose because you don't want those weeks off. The way that the playoffs are structured now, you want to be in the wild card. Those are the teams that make it to the World Series, not the teams that get the bye.
Yeah, you don't want to sit around for a week and not play. Baseball is a ritualistic game. You play every day.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, right now, Fangraphs has the Giants at a 9.7% chance to make the playoffs, which sounds about right, if not a little bit high. But this weekend, they played their last game in Oakland, the San Francisco Giants. Do you have any thoughts on that, Paul? I know you're, as a Bay Area guy.
I do, and I brought an A's hat. I found out there people actually take a shot every time I change my hat, Matt. And I might be one of them. Anyway, I'm very sad about it. I'm an East Bay guy, unlike you, Matt, who's from San Francisco, and you accuse me of being a carpetbagger and becoming a San Francisco fan. But I grew up an A's fan.
That's not me. That's
Aaron,
LA fan. Aaron White. Aaron White. You continue.
I grew up an East Bay fan. I remember going to Day on the Green a couple of times. I think I saw David Bowie there one year. I love tailgating in that ballpark. I'm going to miss the A's. I'm going to miss Oakland Coliseum, Oakland Alameda County Coliseum. Howard Cosell. Remember when they played a Monday Night Football? The way he introduced that stadium.
The Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, the exhortation, go get 'em Raiders, and Oakland is doing just that to Cincinnati.
Anyway, I think it's a sad day for the Bay Area. I don't know how they couldn't get it figured out. I know everybody's mad at John Fisher, but I think working with the city of Oakland was no dream either. Anyway, it's bad. It's bad for baseball. A's fans are very passionate. I think it's just bad for the Bay Area in general.
Yeah, I'm going to miss the Oakland Coliseum. Like I said, I had a lot of great memories there as well. I think they're going to go to Sacramento, and I think they're going to do so well in Sacramento that they're not going to move to Las Vegas. And they're going to build a beautiful stadium in Sacramento, and that's going to be the place that they should stay. Folks, Paul, you texted me today, right as I was looking at the news as well. Brandon Crawford got released from the St. Louis Cardinals, unconditional release. He's not going to get a reunion here in San Francisco. We have Tyler Fitzgerald. But any thoughts on B. Craw?
I could see the Giants being so cynical that if they really fall out of the race, that they might do it.
I mean, shit. Well, then sign Brandon Belt because they needed a left-handed hitter at first base all season. They wouldn't do it.
They have 9 home runs from their first baseman this year.
Folks, let's get off this dying bullet train of a car crash called the Giants. Shall we? Can we, Paul? 49ers preseason. We're going to jump into more with Ray Stoney, but the San Francisco 49ers, they played the Saints over the weekend, their second preseason game. They were at home. Brock Purdy played. There's a lot of people out there like, why the hell did Brock Purdy play? Because he really didn't have anyone to throw to. Debo didn't play, obviously. Ayuk, George Kittle, CMC. Purdy said he just wanted to get the rust off a little bit. The funny thing I wanted to ask you, Shanahan has not called the plays in the first 2 preseason games. He's let his passing game coordinator, Clay Kubiak, call the plays. And I only bring this up, Paul, is because you've been a stan, as the kids say, for Kyle not calling plays. I don't think there's any smoke here, but what's your take on Kyle giving up the play calling duties in preseason?
It seems odd, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the reason for it, right? Like, there has to be some reason for it, like
Yeah.
getting his reps in. I mean, maybe Kyle is thinking that he doesn't have to call every play or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He'll let him do it when they're up by 3 touchdowns. I have no idea, but there has to be some reason. I just can't get inside Kyle's head enough to know what the reason is.
I was thinking this, Paul. I was thinking, when he had Mike McDaniel there and he had Clint Kubiak there as well, I think he could lean on those guys to sort of, when he was in the headset, throw some things in because they were great offensive minds. I think last year, he only was leaning on himself a little bit.
Right.
And I think he's trying to coach up some of these guys to I think he might be taking the first step in football alcoholism, saying, I can't do it alone.
Right. He's in play calling rehab, Matt. Does that count as a place where people can party with us for a second? Because Matt referencing his past?
Yeah, you take a drink,
Okay.
play calling rehab, cut to the clip.
I used to suck dick for coke. I seen him. Now that's an addiction, man.
I'll say this, Paul. Jacob Cowing, our 4th round wide receiver out of Arizona, looked spectacular. Everyone's been talking about Ricky Pearsall and all these other guys. Jacob Cowing could be the guy. He looked fabulous. He caught a couple. I think he had 5 catches for like 49 yards. Looked like he belongs. Very fast. I think he's going to get that 6th wide receiver position over Trent Taylor. Joshua Dobbs looks like what we always wanted Trey Lance to look like. I think he's locked in the backup quarterback position over.
I think
over
it's
Josh
a
Allen.
great point, by the way. I was going to mention that too about the Trey Lance thing, because remember Kyle, until Lance got hurt that first year, he was going to bring him in for some change of pace stuff and other things, and that's hard to do with the guy's number 3 pick in the draft. But with Dobbs, you could do it, and I think they're going to have some fun with him. No, I agree. I think he was a good guy to bring in. Plus, I like the fact he's like an aerospace engineer or something like that.
Yeah, he's the type of guy where you all of a sudden show up at a bar and you're wearing a Dobbs number 5 jersey.
Hey, you know who I like? I like this Mustafa kid who showed up wearing a Ronnie Lott jersey under his jersey and said that he was going to dust off some VHS tapes, our era, Matt, to watch Lott kicking the shit out of people. I like the sound of this kid.
And you know what? Mustafa, you know what it says on Mustafa's wallet? Cut to the clip.
I want you to go in that bag and find my wallet.
Which one is it?
It's the one that says bad motherfucker.
That's right. Bad motherfucker. That's what it says on Mustafa's wallet.
Oh, well, you said it's on your too.
Yeah, I'm just trying to fit in a lot of Pulp Fiction clips. We haven't really hit that one this year, this season on the podcast. Paul, before we get out of here on football, with not much to say more about the Niners. They have their final preseason game this Friday. The starters are going to play a quarter. I think we're going to be fine.
I think Ayuk, obviously, it looks like he's coming back. By the time this thing drops, it may be done. He's got nowhere else to go. As they say to an officer and a gentleman, cut to the clip.
In that clip, Paul, though, am I Deborah Winger in your arms or am I Richard Gere holding you?
Or are you David Keith hanging from a noose? Look at that. That's some deep shit right there. 1982, baby. I saw that movie in the movie theater.
Hey, when you say David Keith, is that the black actor or is he a white actor?
Maybe it's Brian Keith. It's some Keith. No, he's a white guy.
He's a white guy. That's the guy who played the slugger in Major League 2. Cut to that clip.
Cut the crap, Taylor. I don't like you, you don't like me. I just hope you don't blame your bum knees when I take your job.
Yes. Good one, Matt. Wow.
Boom,
That's fucking
boom.
Hollywood nerds.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
I will say this. I just want to squeeze this in here real fast. I think there's something wrong with the 49ers, though. I don't know if we want it as much. Last year, it was Super Bowl or bust. This year, in camp, there's a lot of weird vibes around contracts, health. It seems like we're very, very distracted, and I think we might come out of the gate real slow.
Trent Williams, as of today, $3 million in fines. What the fuck's going on there? And he's their leader. Yeah, no, I hear you, Matt. It's interesting. We shall see. There, I read some prediction. 11.4 wins was the Athletic did like a 100,000 game simulation thing, and that they still think the Niners are the class of the NFC. So let's hope so.
Let's hope so. A lot of over-unders. They have them at 11.5. A lot of people are saying the 49ers are going to be 11-6. Hit us up if you think 11-6, or just text me and Paul if you think 11-6 is what the Niners are going to be this year. I think it sounds about right. Paul, before we cut to our interview, I got to ask you, because we're going to try to do this ahead of time for once before it, not when it happens, and then we come back and talk about it. US Open, we're tennis guys, all right? I was watching some of the qualifying rounds today. The final Grand Slam in tennis is coming up. I'm going to be out there next week watching the first and second round. I was watching some of the qualifying rounds today, and all I could think of is I wish Zendaya was on the sidelines like in the movie Challengers, okay? If she was there, I'd be watching more of that. Do you have any predictions for the U.S. Open? Who do you like? Give me a sleeper.
A sleeper?
Yeah.
It's been the same sleeper I had last summer, Tommy Paul. He and Fritz had a good Olympic playing doubles. I'm a big believer these guys should be playing doubles. McEnroe played doubles every tournament, and so he didn't have to practice, but he played doubles. It's great for their game. Paul may come in a little bit more. Obviously, I think Alcaraz is the guy. Joker's going to have a massive hangover, literally and figuratively, from the Olympics. But I think Tommy Paul is our sleeper. It would be great to have an American even make it to the finals for a change. The last American to win it, Andy Roddick in 2002.
Ask me the same question. I'm going to impress you right now. Come on.
I just gave you the answer. What are you talking about?
No, ask me who my sleeper is.
Oh, your sleeper.
Yeah.
See, I like this, Matt. I like asking questions. I'm in charge now. Who is the sleeper, Matt?
You know who I like, and I always say this. I like Francis Tiafoe. He just was the runner-up at the Cincinnati Open. He lost to Jannik Sinner in Cincinnati. He's got a little bit of his game back. He's got a little bit of his confidence back. And if he faces Sinner again, it's not going to feel like the first time. He was just in a battle with him last week. I think Tiafoe coming out of Cincinnati, also he loves playing in New York. That's his city. Watch out. I think Tiafoe, if anything, is going to get it to the Final Four.
I like that pick a lot. He's a showman. He loves playing in New York.
Folks, on that note, we are going to cut to our great interview with actor, athlete, the man, Mr. Ray Stoney. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Beat LA podcast, and I told you we have a very special guest. I say that all the time, but this time I truly mean it. Our guest got his start in the film Remember the Titans. He was also in The Longest Yard as well, 2 football films. He's been in television shows like Banshee, Criminal Minds, Nashville, Quantico, some of your favorite commercials. That's where you might have seen him. He's been in everything, commercials from the NFL to how to do a fitted bedsheet. We'll get into that. But to me, he's best known for playing basketball player Jay Tyrell in the award-winning Matt Ferrucci film Companion. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ray Stoney.
Hey.
Welcome, Ray.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing? Now you're in the ATL?
I'm in the ATL right now, that's for sure.
How's the ATL treating you?
Not bad, man. ATL's all right, you know?
Yeah, I know. You made that pandemic move to the ATL. Is that right?
That's right. I came here, in 2020?
Yeah.
Like right in the height of the pandemic. It was ugly in California.
Yeah, Paul, during the pandy, Ray was looking to buy a house in LA. And then one day he called me and he's like, I can get a 5-time better mansion in Atlanta. I'm out.
And you're from Atlanta, right?
Yeah. Grew up in Atlanta, man.
But you were born in South Carolina, right?
I was born in South Carolina when I was 13. No, when I was 12.
Okay. You lived there till you were 12?
I was 12. Yeah, I moved to Atlanta. Yeah.
I don't know anyone that's born in South Carolina other than Aziz Ansari and Ray Stoney, Paul.
I mean, that's pretty much it.
Tell me the truth, Ray. Did you actually leave? It's like a walk-off homer after you appeared in opposite me in Mary Fuck Kill. You're like, I'm
right
out.
After,
I'm out of LA.
Like, deuces. I'm going to buy a house.
Yes. No, that's a very good point Paul brings up. Paul,
I never get to say this, Matt. Cut to the clip.
I'm going to ask you something crazy. I don't even know if you can do it, but I was wondering if you could do a dark web search on her to see if anything's been deleted.
Oh, fuck me, man. You know, sometimes I think you're only friends with me because I'm a cop.
Ray and Paul starred together in the film that Paul and I did together called Marry, Fuck, Kill. Yeah, like you said, Paul, Ray did a walk-off and went to Atlanta. He called me up. He's like, hey, man, I got a golf cart and like 5 bedrooms. It's like, it's like Real Housewives out there. It's beautiful.
It really is. Like the birds are chirping. The neighbors say hi. It's that type of deal.
Did you ever see The Walking Dead? It wasn't The Walking Dead. I was in Atlanta. Every time I hear like a 5-bedroom house in Atlanta, I think about that's a good spot for a zombie apocalypse. So you're set for that too.
We were talking to Kareem Grimes last week about the ATL, and we were talking about Magic City and the strip clubs. Do you have any take on this?
Ooh, man,
Get coming out hot.
Magic City is classic, baby. That's like peanut butter and jelly and a glass of milk. It's classic.
Paul, what he means by that is no. When Paul and I are coming out to Atlanta to shoot our pilot, are you going to be in it, but you're going to host us as well?
All of that. Whatever you need, I got it.
This reminds me, I'll be right back. You guys keep talking. Hold on.
I don't know where he's going, ladies and gentlemen. Here he comes.
So, Ray, I was in Atlanta a couple of years ago. Speaking of, do you know this joint, the Claremont Lounge?
Woo! Yeah, I'm familiar.
It's basically, Matt, Atlanta's version of Jumbo's Clown Room for anybody who's playing along at home.
For those men listening to the podcast in their car without their better halves, they know exactly. Which I don't know what the Atlanta version of Jumbo's is, but if it's Claremont, I'm there. Take me there. When I land, Ray, just drive me straight there.
If you're looking for an amputee stripper, it's your place to go.
Oh, man. Well, on that note, let's dive right into this.
Yeah.
Ray Stoney, I met in 2005. We were both actors in the ABC Diversity Showcase.
Wait, is that why I didn't get accepted when I auditioned for that?
They did have a token white guy that we want to have on there later, Brandon Barash. But that's where I met Elaine Uwe. I met Ray Stoney.
If you were Puerto Rican, like I thought you were, you would have gotten the showcase.
Ray brings up a good point. Can we put it on the poll? Can Paul pass as Puerto Rican? Right into the Beat LA podcast on that one.
My last name looks like Ruel, kind of, doesn't it? Ruehl could be Ruel.
Ruelio or something.
Yeah.
Paul Rule Hernandez. And then, Ray, as they say on the streets, everyone knows Companion. Ray played the star of the award-winning film pilot we did called Companion, playing an NBA basketball player named Jay Tyrell, which we're going to get into later. Yeah. But Paul and I, we were doing our little bio on you, Ray, because we dig in. We're hard-hitting reporters here. We're like Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes.
Okay.
Anderson Cooper as well. You grew up in South Carolina.
Right.
You grew up in Atlanta. But do I have this correctly? You're a Green Bay Packers fan?
That's correct.
You must explain.
I was born in South Carolina, right? And when I was a kid, we didn't have a sports team, right? So all of my friends and my cousins, we all were diehard sports fans, and we gravitated towards certain players. And for me, my favorite players were like, Sterling Sharp, Brett Favre, Dorsey Levens, Armand Green. Those like my favorite football players growing up. You know what I mean? And they all played for the Green Bay Packers. So Green Bay Packers became the team that I followed as a kid. Then when I moved to Atlanta, obviously, I had to adopt the Falcons. So the Falcons became like my number 2 team. But I turned in my Falcon card during that debacle of the Super Bowl.
We all know what you're talking about.
I'm not even going to say anymore.
Yeah.
Was that the Super Bowl with Chris Chandler, Andre Rison, that one, I think?
No. This was Matt Ryan.
Oh, that one later.
Yeah, the greatest choke in the history of the Super Bowl, the Tom Brady.
Yes.
That'll do it.
Card in, man. That was it for me.
That'll do it.
I was tired of being hurt.
Nick, cut to the clip of Tom Brady throwing that to James White to win the Super Bowl. Sorry, Ray.
Toss to White. He's in. Patriots win the Super Bowl.
Now, let me ask you, Paul, does this fandom check with you, being the master PhD sort of connoisseur of how fandom works? I know you hate it when people come to LA and adopt the Dodgers and the Lakers. We hate that. But does this check out for you? Yeah,
of course. He grew up in a town without a sports team. Now, granted, you often notice that they don't pick the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? They never pick the shitty team. They pick the team that's winning stuff. So you pick Brett Favre and those Super Bowl Green Bay Packers team. So that's smart. You like winners. You like Mike Singletary. He likes winners.
But look, there was no Jacksonville Jaguars.
So you would have maybe picked them from South Carolina. Yeah. Well, you would put the Carolina Panthers, I guess.
I guess I could have picked the Dolphins. Right? I could have picked Miami.
Hey, let me ask you a weird question. And this is, where my head goes. Were you rooting for the Gamecocks? Was that a big thing, rooting for the South Carolina Gamecocks?
You just wanted to say Gamecocks.
Oh, yeah. It was either the Gamecocks or it was Clemson. You rooted for one of the two, right?
Did you have one there?
Gamecocks, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, you were a Gamecock
100%.
guy.
I was a Gamecock guy. My sister went to USC, so I had to rock with that.
Got it. When I say USC, I think of my USC Trojans, but I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. The Gamecocks.
USC of the South. USC
Hey,
East.
that reminds me of a question, Matt. Can I jump in there already? I don't know if you watched the last or listened to the last podcast with Cream Grimes, but USC came up and Matt alerted us that he's Eskimo brothers with Keyshawn Johnson. So we've got a new question now. Who are you Eskimos brothers with?
What can you say? We can bleep it out. This is a weird segment, Paul.
You just said USC. How can I not say that? I wanted to bring up Keyshawn Johnson.
I don't know.
You don't know. And that's a better way to live.
Yeah.
I didn't know either. And I spent it vexed me for like a week. And I came up with one and I texted Matt very excitedly when I came up with a famous Eskimo brother. So,
and who is it?
Josh Brolin. We both could pay George W. Bush in the movie too. So the girl clearly had a type.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to segue right into self-help corner here. Paul, I've recently come to the conclusion when it comes to relationships, don't ask questions you don't want the answer to. Do you know what I mean?
My father actually literally told me that once. Don't ask the question if you don't think you know the answer. I'm like, that's not very inquisitive. But yes, in relationships, he's correct.
She's wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eskimo brothers, don't ask your wife who she's Eskimo sisters with. So you're a Green Bay Packer fan.
Yeah, man.
I love that you're throwing out names like Dorsey Levens, Amon Green. Before we jump into who you think do our little NFL preview with you on what teams you like, what teams you don't like this year. Paul, I forgot this. Ray played college basketball.
I can tell in your movie, it first starts out by hitting a jumper in crypto.com, or whatever it was called then, Staples.
Yeah, where did you play college basketball at, Ray?
I played college basketball at Valdosta State.
Oh, also in Georgia. Yeah.
Cool. And you may have told me this, but I think our fans need to know because they love talking. We love when we have a little connection. Who was the best player that you played against? Anyone that kind of made it to the show, to the NBA?
Best player that I played against was when I was in high school.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I played for Team Georgia AAU team, right? And we went to this tournament, and I think we were in, I want to say it was Winston-Salem.
Okay.
And we played at Wake Forest. And first game of the AAU tournament, we step out on the floor, and there's this little skinny dude that was jumping out the gym, right? And so I'm like, who is this guy? And his name's Allen Iverson. I'm like, okay, cool, Allen Iverson.
Wow.
Okay, cool. In the first game of the tournament, me playing point guard, I had to line up against Allen Iverson.
Holy shit. Now, did the answer break your ankles?
Yeah, he took it easy on me. He wasn't too bad.
Okay.
He wasn't too bad because he just kept throwing alley-oops.
That's a great answer, man. Allen Iverson.
Did he play any defense or you scored on him?
I probably scored about 10, 12 points, but it wasn't all on him.
Paul, can I ask you a question? Because I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed with this story. Based off our last guest, what's more impressive, Kareem Grimes playing one-on-one against George Clooney or Ray lining up against Allen Iverson?
Well, Ray's our current guest, so I'll definitely say Ray.
Same with so will I. So will I.
Yeah, baby.
That's awesome, man. And then then you played at Valdosta, and then as things happen, the dream died a little bit there.
I know me, man. Hey, listen, this is a true story.
Yeah.
So I was at Valdosta. One day, the coach called me in the office. He said, "Stoney, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?" And I thought that was a weird question, right? So I said, well, and I was a sophomore at the time. And I said, well, I think I'm gonna finish out my playing days here, maybe, hopefully go semi-pro, which I had an offer to go play semi-pro from my AAU coach, who coached a semi-pro team. But he asked me that question, and he told me that he was not going to renew my scholarship. And I was like, why? And he said, well, I just don't think things are a good fit here, so we're not going to renew your scholarship. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then that's when I know the dream had died, because when I transferred to Georgia State, for some reason, I didn't want to play basketball anymore.
Oh, man.
Right? The buzz was gone.
Yeah.
The buzz was gone.
Yeah.
The buzz was gone. And then the buzz for acting came along.
There it is.
That's a great segue. How did the buzz for acting come along? What was the thing that was your first kind of hit that, that made you like, this is what I want to do?
This is a true story. I was doing some print modeling, right? And print modeling around Atlanta. My agent sent me down to Remember the Titans to meet the background casting director. She was casting for the football team. the team that was Denzel's team, right? They cast semi-pro players to do the actual contact. Then they cast some background cats to be the actual team in the locker room and whatnot you see around Denzel and running the drills, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, long story short, I'm on set. They had some roles they hadn't cast. So the casting director asked me to audition for one of the roles. I never knew what an audition was. I didn't know. So I said, sure. She gives me these sides, never seen sides before. So I go ask one of the actors. His name is Greg Allen Williams. I said, hey, Mr. Williams, I said, can you help me with, can you help me prepare these sides? He said, sure. So we walked up and down the sideline, the football field that day. We prepared the sides. And then at lunchtime, the director stayed on the field. Everyone else went to lunch, and we had to audition in front of the director. So I auditioned, go to lunch. After lunch, I was told that I got the role. So I did the scene. This was in October. It was like the middle of the movie. They told me that I could sign my contract because I had already been on set for like a month and a half doing background work. They told me I could sign my contract now and get paid, but I have to leave because once you're established as an actor, we can't bring you back, right? Or you can sign your contract on the last day of filming and stay on as a background player, and we'll just post-date your contract to the last day, and you get paid on the last day for your work. I opted to do that because I didn't want to act. I just wanted to stay on set, hang out with my boys, make $100 a day, and I was cool. Fast forward to movie's over. I signed my contract. I'm gone, right? SAG calls me and say, hey, we heard about something that happened on the set of Remember the Titans. You want to come down to the office? And I said, sure. So I go down to the office, the Atlanta chapter of SAG, and the guy who I did the scene with is there. And he's talking to the SAG rep. They called me and they said, hey, this actor told us such and such happened on set. We want to know, is that true? I said, yeah, that's what happened. She said, you verified everything that he said? I said, that's what happened. I left. About 2 months later, I get another call from SAG. I go back down to the office. There's a SAG rep that flew in from LA. She came to me. She thanked me for my bravery and all this other stuff. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just trying to make $100 a day, man, get this money and go do something else. She says, I got something for you. She goes in her bag, hands me this envelope. I opened the envelope. It was a check for $20,000.
What?
I looked at the check and I made sure that my name was spelled correct. I said, are you sure this is for me?
Yeah,
right.
The right number of zeros. Yeah,
right. It's like 4 zeros in there. She said, no. She said, it's yours. She said, we went back and we looked at the dailies of when you actually spoke, all the way up to the day that you signed your contract.
Yeah.
Overtime, the meal penalties.
Oh, I know where this is going. Yeah.
Everything, right? She said, and we calculated it, and this is how much money you were owed. And it was in that moment
that you said, I'm going to become an actor.
Yes.
There it is.
Like, this acting thing's easy, man. Right?
I can get used to this.
Wait, Ray, where did they shoot that? Where did they shoot Remember the Titans?
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta. And so right after that, it was like, I'm jumping on a plane, going to LA, and I'm going to really do this for real.
I'm gone. I'm out of here.
So can you give us, and this is what Paul and I want to know. It's a great story. Me and Paul want to know this because we're whores. Do you have a quick story that you could tell us about working with Denzel? Just give a little inside Denzel.
So Denzel's a real cool dude, right? So on set, we are in the locker room and he's rapping DMX. So we're all in the locker room as a gang, just rapping DMX, and he's like, "Where my dogs?" And we like, he's rapping. That was fun. But a quick story about Denzel is we were in the locker room shooting a scene, right? And they had the camera on a boom, and the boom was coming up, and as it was coming up to his face, he was supposed to start talking, right? So it started coming up, and it squeaked. It went. So the director said, "Cut," right? So we cut the scene. They do the boom. They put the boom back down. Started again. Started coming up real slow. Right before it got to his face. So the director said, "Cut." He put some oil on it. WD-40, all that good stuff. Tested it. It was fine. Third time. Denzel said, "Cut." He said, "When you get this fixed, I would be in my trailer and walked off the set.
I love it. I love it. You know what the funny part of that, Paul, is when we were shooting Companion, Ray did the same thing to me.
I'm sure.
I had to.
Yeah.
I mean,
he must have done
look
this
at my
on a
influence.
podcast when you couldn't figure out how to hit record, Matt.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm almost gone.
Yeah.
To my trailer.
That's great, Ray. And then Ray, you did another sports film because we like to talk about this shit. You were in The Longest Yard. You got a quick story on playing football with Adam Sandler?
You know what? In that movie, I was a cheerleader.
Oh, typecast.
I was a transvestite.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, you
that's
were
juicy, right?
You were in jail, right? Yeah.
I was a transvestite in prison.
Yeah.
Never been more afraid in my life. I walk on set and I got on like this skirt with these boots, and I got my shirt and it's tied up in a knot like this, right? And I'm walking on set, and we shot on a real prison yard. The new prison was across the street. They closed the old prison because they had like an uprising and some bad stuff happened. So they closed it, built a new one across the street. So we shot in the old one, right? And they used like real ex-cons and all that good stuff, right? So I'm walking on set. I got on these boots and this skirt, man. I'm like, oh,
whistled out, right? Yeah.
Woo! I'm like, I don't know if I should have taken this job. And the thing that kind of calmed me down was all these dudes with like, one eye and scars on their face. They was like, yo, man, I want to be an actor too, man. Like, how can I get involved in the business? So I'm on set giving like,
acting advice.
Talks and acting advice in a skirt. Yeah. With boots on, so it was all good.
That's where it pays not to do any research, Matt, because if you had actually watched that movie, you would have known that. But Matt really legitimately did not know that, nor did I.
You know what? It's like I want to say cut to the clip, but I don't know if we can find that
We're gonna
clip
look for it.
Give me a D. Give me a I. Give me a C. Give me a. All right, I got it.
But I mean, in all actuality, it's really funny, Ray. It's like where your acting career takes you. I know this is really funny, but like you're dressed up in a skirt as a woman on a prison, talking to prisoners about how to get into acting, and I think it's a really great, funny story. It
was crazy.
Well, Ray, Ray went on, folks, from all of that to a million television shows and a million commercials, and he's had a great career. Look him up and stuff. But let's jump into the sports here because that's why we're here. This is the Beat LA podcast. This is our NFL preview. I don't know how much of an NFL preview, but the season's coming up in a couple of weeks. Ray, we just need to know this. Who are you high on? What teams are you liking? I mean, obviously, we're 49er fans. Last year, the Super Bowl was the 49ers and the Chiefs. There's a lot of up-and-comers this year. Which teams in the AFC, NFC are getting you hard right now, for lack of a better word?
Yeah.
No, of course, my Packers. You know what I mean?
Jordan Love, you buying Jordan Love stock?
I wasn't at first because when we had Aaron, I wanted more help for Aaron.
Yeah.
When they drafted Love, I wanted another receiver for Devontae Adams. But now that that's over, I'm glad we got Love. I'm buying Love.
Do you think they overpaid him? And do you think he's better than Brock Purdy?
He's better than Brock.
Ooh,
for sure.
For sure. Thank you for that.
Did they overpay him? I guess I'm kind of old-fashioned when it comes to these contracts, man. I feel like you need to have something on your resume to get these big contracts.
Right.
Like Patrick Mahomes
He had one. Brock's won more.
He deserves the money. 3-time champ. He deserves the money, right? If you only been to the playoffs once, you don't deserve to be the highest paid or one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, in my opinion.
I think that's a great opinion, and that tells me that Jordan Love got the higher contract to beat Trevor Lawrence, who got a new deal. That guy, I am so out on him as the most overrated guy in the world.
To your point, he had won anything.
Yeah, and for me, Paul, I'm going to say this in our NFL preview. One team I'm completely out on is the Jacksonville Jaguars. The people are talking about this team with Etienne and the receivers they signed. I think that's just a dog shit team right there. What other teams you liking? What's a sleeper team?
A sleeper team. The Texans.
Talk to me.
Watch out for the Texans, man. They got weapons. If CJ can come back and repeat what he did last season, he has Stephon Diggs now, Tank Dell, Joe Mixon in the back, Nico Collins, man. Listen, watch out for Houston.
I like that. I don't believe in Joe Mixon though. I think that guy's a bit of an old man bum. But
he is, but he runs hard.
He runs hard. Paul, I'm asking you, as a Niner fan, if we could just put our Niner hat fan away, who are we most worried about?
Well, I want to
the NFC.
I want to ask. I put my Niners hat on. Actually, the Niners Packers rivalries. Between that and the Cowboys are probably the two best rivalries in the NFC. Right? How do you feel about the Niners? I mean, do you hate the Niners? Do you kind of respect them? Are you glad they lost the Super Bowl last year?
I hate them, but I respect them. The main reason why I hate them is because of my friends who are Niner fans.
Like Matt Ferrucci?
Not even Matt.
Okay.
But Matt knows. So you had a guy on the podcast who shall remain nameless a couple of weeks ago who's a Niner fan that Matt was going back and forth with. You know what I'm talking about. His name is Reggie Watkins.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
That dude.
Talk to me.
That dude makes me hate the Niners.
Interesting.
Yeah, we like this. It's kind of controversial. We were trying to court here on the PLA podcast.
Two different types of Niner fans, me and Reggie. We drink from the same batch of Kool-Aid, but it's a different flavor with us.
Right.
Paul, I've gotten to arguments with Ray defending Jimmy Garoppolo like 5 years ago. I've hung up on Ray.
He has.
I have. Gotcha. So, hey, let me ask you this. Talk to me, Ray. What do you got? You got something else?
As a football fan, you guys need to pay IU. Pay the man.
Okay.
He's your best receiving option. Okay. Purdy threw for 4,200 yards last season. He threw for more yards than Patrick Mahomes, and Ayuk caught most of his yards and most of his touchdowns.
It looks like it's going to happen too. I mean,
listen, Ray. There's an argument. Is he a product of our system? And there's this little thing called salary cap, Ray.
Yeah.
Quickly, before we got to get you out of here, but before we get there, I know you're a big fantasy head. Everyone out there, me and Ray are in a fantasy football league called the Shitbag. Now it's called Viet Fluffers. Shout out to John Dwan. May you rest in peace, my homie.
Baby.
Ray, a couple people. I know we're in the draft in about 4 days together, but can you just say a player that you're high on or low on to help our fantasy listeners?
I'm always high on CeeDee Lamb. I'm high on Tyreek Hill. Running backs, I am high on ETN. Even though I'm not high on the Jaguars, I'm high on ETN, and I am high on Breece Hall.
Breece Hall, okay.
I think Breece Hall gonna have one hell of a season.
Paul, can I explain this in car terms? What Ray just said is, I said, give me a car that you like. And he was like, well, Ferraris are nice and Lamborghinis, and the Porsches aren't bad as well. Okay.
So sounds like a smart man to me.
I mean, you played it safe there, Ray. Ray, we need to know, Paul and I need a sleeper pick. Okay. We need a sleeper pick for fantasy. Who is your deep, deep sleeper pick?
Jaden Daniels, quarterback of
the
Commanders.
The Commanders. You're going Jaden Daniels. You believe?
I believe in Jaden Daniels.
Yep. I watched a lot of him last year. I totally agree with Ray. Let's go, Ray. You want to start a podcast together?
Of the year, ROI, right there.
All right. I'll tell you this. Guess what? I don't believe at all. I don't believe in Jaden Daniels one freaking bit. Yeah.
Who you got?
Who do I got? Hey, listen, I'm a big Lions fan. I'm trying to get as many Detroit Lions on my team this year. All right. I think they're going to run the cover off the ball, hit the cover off the ball, and get yourself some Miami Dolphins. If you're in fantasy, just draft Cowboys, Dolphins, Lions, 49ers, Packers. Those 5 offenses, Chiefs, just draft those things. Just draft those teams, all those players on those teams. Paul, do we have anything else for Raymond Stoney here?
There's a variation on a question that we often have. Since you're an actor, famous actor, I won't ask you who would play you in the movie because you would play yourself in the movie. But if you were to play an athlete in a movie, what athlete would that be? Like in the biopic of that athlete?
I would probably play Dak Prescott.
You like throwing interceptions?
I like throwing interceptions, and I like that, that warm up dance he had going on.
Yeah. Ray, the caveat to the question was an athlete they might actually make a movie about. I don't know how interesting Dak Prescott's life is.
I just figured they'll always make a movie about Jerry Jones.
There you go. Okay.
That's true.
As long as you are connected to Jerry Jones, you'll make the screen. You'll make the final cut.
See, that's a smart man. That's a guy who was an extra on a movie, and he worked his way into a movie career. See, he gets it. Proximity, baby. It's like real estate.
That's all.
You know, Dak's gotten a lot of heat for his cologne, and it's his signature cologne called INT for those nights when you don't want to score. So there you go.
Oh.
There you go. Ray, you've been an outstanding guest, you know, so much so that I don't know, Reggie Watkins, who was better, Reggie or Ray?
We might have to send you 2 mugs. That's how good. That's how good you are.
Send me 2, baby.
Yeah,
Send me 2.
One from your wife for your wife. You know, Christmas.
Yeah, I'll give her one too.
Ray, anything you want to plug real quick? Anything out there you want to throw out there real quick?
Spotify, iTunes, all the platforms, Amazon Music, whatever you go on, look for the single Restart. Restart by Celeste Stoney. Just released 2 weeks ago. You're going to love it. Got a nice country vibe to it. It's a lover song. If you're a lover, if you want to be a lover, if you were a lover and you're looking to become a lover again, you want this song.
Sounds like you're talking directly to Matt, actually.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love Ray. Ray's a giver. He just plugs his wife's single, and it's a beautiful thing.
So smart. So smart.
Ray, thanks for coming on the Beat LA podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Next time, I'll be there in person.
Yeah, let us know when you're in LA. We'll get you in the studio.
All right. We're going to be right back, folks, with the best things we saw. All right, we're back, folks. What a great interview with Ray Stoney. Thanks, Ray, for coming on. Paul, before we move on, I just want to say that the Beat LA podcast is brought to you by PetProSupplyCo.com. For all your pet needs, go to Pet Pro Supply Co. for cat toys, dog cages, balls for your other dogs and cats and squirrels and possums, and cages for your snakes or lizards. PetProSupplyCo.com has everything that you need for your pets. Paul, before we get to the best things we saw, pet peeves. We haven't done the Tony Campagna pet peeves in a long time. Is there anything that's irking you before we get to
I've already had a couple. I'm going to try to make it super fast. Okay, I know it's a competitor. You ever listen to Locked On Giants podcasts? They're totally unlistenable. If anybody out there is listening to the Locked On Giants podcast, start listening to the Beat LA podcast. Okay, that's all I can say. I try to find Giants podcasts. I cannot listen to it. I don't understand how it exists. My other pet peeve, Matt. Do you want to hear my other pet peeve?
I mean, I love you just firing shots at a Giants podcast. Let's go. Let's go.
Listen to our fucking podcast. It's so much more entertainment value than that piece of shit. I don't even understand how it exists. So my other pet peeve, real quick, we talked about it, is the devaluation of the RBI. The fucking propeller head saying RBIs don't matter. The game-winning RBI doesn't matter. It's not even a stat anymore. Look at your Giants. Your Giants are built as a team that doesn't fucking score because nobody values an RBI. Okay, that's it, Matt.
You sure?
I'm good.
You're good. You're good.
I'm drinking a lot of coffee and maybe a little whiskey in this Beat LA cup.
You know what? I haven't thought about this because I'm a lover, not a fighter. I have an anti-pet peeve. I call it a pet pleasure. I've been hanging out in the city of Sacramento recently a little bit here and there. I'm not going to get into the details of why, but fucking great city. People always talk about it like the armpit of California, a little bit of a cow hick town, and maybe they're right. But Sacramento, there's a lot of great restaurants. There's a great vibe. It's a great scene, great architecture. People are sleeping on on California's capital. A really great city. So shout out Sacramento.
Hey, we're going to do a remote from there next year when the Giants are there on the 4th of July playing the Sacramento, Las Vegas, Rancho Cucamonga A's.
There it is. Let's get into the best things we saw. This is the Ben version of it. Shout out to Ben. Paul, you watch anything you love or hate that you want to tell our listeners about?
Okay, there are a few things, Matt. So it's not just things we saw on television. I was driving back from Santa Barbara and I found your new name. There's Bomel and there's a company called Matucci. They are a plumbing company. I sent you a photo. Cut to the photo. So I may start calling you Matucci. Matt Ferrucci Matucci.
Matucci. Hey, listen, it's like our BLA therapist, Nick Moyaris, loves to call me Matt Ferrari.
There you go. Pass the Matucci from the left-hand side. Cut to musical youth. I did see a couple other things, Matt. I saw, believe it or not, I saw a movie called Immaculate with Sydney Sweeney on Hulu. So Ryan Osmond-Kowski and Henry Rule, two good buddies of mine of a younger generation, believe the world is back because we have a movie star who has full real breasts. There was a whole period where there just weren't a lot of chesty movie stars. Can I say that, Matt?
Yeah, sure. You just
So anyway, you may know her from Euphoria, and she's she was in that movie with the Glenn, whatever his name is. It was a hit.
Glenn Howerton. Continue.
Yeah, not Glenn Howerton. Glenn, the fucking new guy who was in a Top Gun and is in
That's right. That guy from Twisters. Continue.
Yeah. Anyway, so this movie is incredibly awful, but apparently people kind of think it's good because of the topic, which is basically it's the idea of a woman who somehow, for reasons that are totally unexplained, ends up in a convent in Italy, and then suddenly, as a nun, Sydney Sweeney, who I think of as a nun for sure, and then she becomes pregnant, immaculately, like the second coming of the Virgin Mary, and then a bunch of shit happens. So I saw the first half of the movie drunk, and the second half sober. Definitely watch it drunk. But she's running around the whole time like in a nun's habit, and then the rest of the time she's in like a robe with no bra. And then on top of all that, her water breaks at some point, and she managed to do the entire third act of the movie as like an action-y horror thing after her water is broken. Anyway, lots to unpack, man.
Paul, I don't know about you or our listeners, but now I really want to see that movie. And that was a great pitch. Now, if you went into a room in Hollywood and you did that pitch,
right,
you would have gotten the deal. Okay, we always go into these pitches trying to be concise and doing this, and it comes back around. That's the pitch. That's the winning pitch right there.
It's also kind of timely. It taps into the zeitgeist, but it's really quite awful.
I'm not going to watch the movie. I might click on it now just to see a little bit of Sydney Sweeney running around in a nun's outfit.
Just have it on mute while you're prepping for the next pod.
Yeah.
And real quick, I finished The Bear, and I actually was a big fan of the second half. I really liked the second half of The Bear. So if you start The Bear and you're not sure you want to stay with it, finish it.
That segues into my best things. First off, I'm just going to segue quickly into that. Paul, I know how you feel, but you're still missing out on the best fucking show on television right now called Industry.
Fucking Industry.
It's the best show on television. Everyone in the know who knows anything. It's one of those things that you're not liking Industry actually makes me question a little bit, like your taste and me and you as a person and our friendship. It really puts that on the line a bit because it's outstanding. Season 3 it's the best show on TV. I can't say anything more. But if you like Succession, if you like financial movies like Wall Street and Boiler Room, it takes place in London. It takes place in London with these young kids, sex, drugs, rock and roll. It's fucking amazing. Paul, I did see the M. Shyamalan Ding Dong film, Trap.
How could you not? Josh Hartnett's big return to the big screen, yes.
I don't know if I can encompass a review, but I'll just quickly say I turned to the person I went with and I said to them, is this The Room 2.0? Okay, and if you know that, The Room, the movie, the Disaster Artist, by the third act, the entire theater, which was sold out, was laughing hysterically at the screen.
Maybe it was supposed to be funny. That's Immaculate. I laughed a couple of times.
Yeah, I think Immaculate wasn't trying to be funny. I think M. Night Shyamalan wanted it to be funny. So I don't know. I wasn't really a big fan of it, but there's worse ways you could spend your evening. I would say just wait for it to stream. Paul, beautiful. I love seeing your face.
You too, Matt. You're back. I know you had a bit of a summer in the wilderness. I feel like I've got you back now. I won't say what I mean by that, but
I love you. And any shout outs quick? Do you want to say hello to anybody?
I do have a shout out. My wife, Kristen, it was just her birthday. Happy birthday, my love.
Yes.
Thank you for putting up with me. And I want to I think I've done this before, but I want to shout out my father-in-law, Brian Ofria, who listens to every single podcast and references it every time I see him. I like all of our fans, and I particularly like my fans who've given birth to my wife. So, Brian, cheers to you.
Can I say something? I want to shout out Brian also. I don't know if I've ever met the man, and if I did meet the man at the wedding, it was very, very brief. But Brian, I see you liking all of our content on Instagram, and you are the head of the Beat LA fan club. And because of that, if Paul has not already given you a Beat LA mug, I will be sending you personally a Beat LA mug. So shout out to Brian. All right, folks, that is the Beat LA podcast for this week. You can tune in a couple weeks. Right after week 1 of the NFL season, we got a humdinger of an episode coming at you live from LA. And we got some guests who like to talk a lot of shit. So until next time, Paul.
Beat LA.